Hey guys, Alan Watson here again at Golf Plus, and today we're in our Panama City Beach location and we're doing a fitting for Elliot here, and Tony, who's one of my fitters here, is going to be doing the fitting. But I just want to give you a little quick introduction of what we're doing and why we're doing it, and then you're going to see him work with Elliot to get him some great equipment. So right now, presently in Elliot's bag, he's got a couple of older pieces here. They're not too old, but they're definitely not in the last technology window. And so we always try to tell people, if your clubs are not in the technology window of the last 3 to 5 years, and if you weren't properly fitted when you bought them, which in this case Elliot wasn't, then chances are the equipment's not going to be right for you. And so even though you can go out and play good golf, especially if you've got talent or if you work really hard, your clubs are fighting you if they're not set up properly for you and if you weren't properly fitted. So it really helps to get the equipment dialed in. So today we're going to be working with Elliot to get him some clubs that work a little bit better with his game and hopefully allow him to improve and get to the level that he wants to be at. So these are what he's playing now, but we're going to be moving on to something else. One of the things that we're going to do, and you're going to see Tony use, is this shaft optimizer from Mizuno. So what this does is this is a computer basically in a golf club, and it attaches to any number of our heads that go with it. And we can use that for right-handers, left-handers, men, ladies, juniors, it doesn't matter. And the computer has all sorts of sensors. I think there's 40-something sensors inside this thing. And what it's going to do is then translate that information about Elliot's swing into a Bluetooth iPad program that has a database of tons and tons of shafts. It's going to give us sort of a top 3 of the best shafts to use for him for irons, and then we're going to test those, and we're going to test several different heads, several different shafts. We're going to use our GC Quad, which is right here. This is the industry standard launch monitor. You see guys like Phil Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau using this on the range. I saw Jimmy Walker the other day using it at his house. So this is a great launch monitor, really industry standard, and so the same thing that the pros use is what we use to fit our guys here at Golf Plus.
Kind of had in mind or anything, or are you sort of open to different brands?
I'm open to different brands.
Okay.
So one of the things that we do here at Golf Plus is we keep our fittings very brand agnostic. So Tony just went ahead and talked to the customer about what brands he might be interested in. One of the models that he was talking about was the Callaway Apex. So we have all the different Apex heads, from the Pro to the standard Apex to the DCB. Tony's going to first fit him for the right shaft, and then we'll be able to test different shafts and head combinations to get him the right setup.
So you'll see that there's a blue blinking light on there. Okay. As soon as it's paired up, it'll be solid blue. That means that you can go ahead and hit. Okay, you have 60 seconds to hit. We're going to actually capture 3 good swings. Yeah, you have just like your normal swing.
Just imagine that you have the perfect number with your 7-iron. Right. You're out on the course and you're just like, all right, I can free swing this one, right?
Okay. I know, because you're looking for a blue light here, and now you're looking for a green light over there.
No, you're all set, man.
It's a good strike on it. How's that one? A little bit of a right to left ball flight, left to right, straight. Just a little heavy on that one? Yeah. Okay.
Ooh, that was thin.
Yeah, fortunately the machine picks up on the nuances of the swing, but even if it's a swing that's a little bit off, you're still going to have the right club head speed, the right down angle on the head. That's what we're measuring. We're actually measuring 5 different components of the swing. So once his swing comes through, you'll see his club head speed, tempo, toe down effect, kick angle, and his release factor. And these are extremely high club head speed numbers. So as a good fitter, I kind of already know roughly where he's going to be, but we'll find out. So we're going to be in X-Flex shafts for him, very heavy shafts. That's what Tony's going to be testing with him then.
Okay. Your self-release factor, I don't feel like you have to release it a lot. You probably try to keep that face more square because you're trying to hit that little cut. Money taper X 130. So those kind of the starting points. It does give us more shaft options.
So one of the things that client Elliot mentioned was that he was working on trying to get more consistency. As hard as he swings, distance is not an issue, but consistency is. That's where we looked at his original set and noticed that those shafts were a little bit too light and not stiff enough for him. So we know as we go to a heavier, more stiff shaft, in this case an extra stiff shaft, that's going to bring that consistency, bring that shot dispersion in. And then of course his distance is going to stay great because he's, again, a hard swinger, but really just looking to tighten it up, hit a few more greens, and give himself a chance to score better. So one of the things that we'll do with our Foresight machine, and it's what Tony's doing right now, is we'll set up different setups for each shaft and head combination so that we can go into our comparison mode after our client hits a lot of shots and actually see how they compare, see which one's going to be best for him. So that's what we're doing right now, testing individual shafts and then getting ready to compare.
Cool, so we've got the fitting cart from Mizuno here. They give us a bunch of different shafts, so we can basically fit obviously on the shaft optimizer, and then based upon what kind of feedback we get from that, we can put in whatever shaft that it's actually going to recommend. We can also put in the different heads that they have. They've got a few different lines. They've got an MP line. They also have a line for the JPXs as well. So we can put in whatever head that they prefer. That way they can get a feel for what they'll actually be buying and purchasing. We stick the head right inside the shaft. It's got a little connector. It's got a little screw there. Just align that, put it in there. And then we just use their tool, just like a little Allen wrench almost. Screws in, it just clicks, and now it's locked in and ready to go. Yeah, good shot there.
That's a Jason Day towering
That's
shot. I mean,
beautiful.
that
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's going to stick in a green.
Without a doubt.
Greenskeepers are going to hate you.
Right.
You're just plugging balls.
Just exactly.
So one of the things that you see as Elliot's going through his fitting and testing clubs is that he's actually using his pre-shot routine, and that's something that's really important for people to know about. When you go in for a fitting, wherever you're going to get fit, you need to try to be as comfortable as you can. You need to do the things that you do. So if you have a pre-shot routine, or if you like to wear a glove, or if you like to wear certain shoes, you should bring those things and do those things in your fitting. What you don't want to do is feel really uncomfortable and swing differently than you do out on the golf course. You want to bring whatever makes you comfortable and translate that into the fitting, because we're trying to take your swing and then put the best golf clubs for you together, and so being comfortable really helps with that. His hands are hanging off the end of that just a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a little bit of.
How tall are you, Elliot?
6'3".
Yeah, I mean we need to probably switch to like half-inch over clubs if possible. What are you angry at? Why are you swinging so hard?
I'm actually trying to slow it down.
Trying to slow it down.
Yeah.
Just
Everybody that swings 90 tells us that.
Right.
I've been really dialing it back lately. I'm like, good luck with that.
It's a
So at Golf Plus, we have a lot of different heads and shaft combinations. You can see inside this drawer, there's some heads from Ping and Hanma and Strixon, Mira. Down here, we've got some Cobra, TaylorMade, Titleist. We already showed you the Callaway heads earlier. But having all these different heads allows us to attach them to different shafts, and having all of that is going to really give you a chance to test and feel the right equipment. We don't like to guess. We don't like to just try. We like to put things together that are actually going to work for you. So in the comparison mode, what Tony will do is take out if there was any just errant shots, or if there was just a couple of weird ones that don't really show the consistency that we need to see. We'll take the 4 or 5 best shots and we'll compare those from shaft to shaft and see which shaft gives us the best shot dispersion. For some clients, obviously we're looking for distance as well. That's not really an issue with Elliot.
Overall, right now we can tell that the Money Taper 130X is not nearly as good as the other two. The other important thing is that X100 right there, see a little more left to right. That one kind of started left on us and just stayed there. You had a hard time working it the way that you did with that C-Taper 130X. So based off of this, it's definitely the C-Taper 130X is the best shaft there.
Just raising up. That shaft is just a hair lighter than the shaft that we were testing earlier, so it's going to feel a little bit looser, and it's probably going to cause the toe to throw down just a little bit more, and so that you're going to be a little bit different. But if you like the look and feel of that, once we put the right shaft in it, believe me, it'll be money. So one of the things that happens when we're doing a fitting is we're obviously trying to determine which head to go with. The shaft, we use some pretty technical data, but with the head, it's a little bit of performance, but it's also a lot of the look. So the customer has to be happy with the top line when he looks down at it. He has to be happy with the feel and how much of the rear portion he can see when he sets it down. Some clubs are quite a bit larger and bulkier than others. Some are thinner and smaller, and so visually, what looks good and then what feels good at impact, those are things that only the client can tell us. That's not something that we can say, oh, well, you have to have this head or you really need that head. I think it's okay, when shops make those type of recommendations, but ultimately the client needs to be comfortable with the look and the feel, and so we give them the freedom to sort of express that to us while we're doing the fitting.
What we did here is that we put some vinyl tape in the bottom. You're going to be hitting off the slide board. Give us some feedback if we need to be a little more flat or a little bit upright. Okay. Based upon your swing, okay? So right now what we're doing with Elliot is that we're trying to determine the length, since Elliot's 6'3", so a little bit taller. We're trying to determine what length he needs and also what lie he needs. So that's going to affect his shot. So if somebody gets a club and it's not fit for them properly, is that if it's too flat, meaning it's more toe down, what happens is that when the toe actually interacts with the turf, it actually has a tendency to open up. So they're going to be missing a lot of shots right. They can be putting good swings on it, but unfortunately the club is too flat for them, toe down, and that means that toe is going to dig into the turf. It's going to have a tendency to open that face. Exactly the opposite if something is too upright for them, is that the heel is going to dig into the turf. It's going to have a tendency to make that face actually close, and it's going to go left on him. So we're trying to figure out what's the best option for Elliot based upon his height and also his swing.
All right, so this is our initial test with Elliot, and you can see that the toe of the club has been scrubbed, but not the rest of the club. And then also, as far as here in the face, we're just in the heel side of center. So this would suggest that the club would probably be benefit to be just a little bit longer for him, so that we can sort of shift him out a little bit, and that'll actually move this toe strike more towards the center, and then we might need to make the club a little bit more upright as well. This head's a couple of degrees upright, but at his height, he could probably benefit from maybe a ½ inch over and maybe even as much as 3 to 4 degrees upright. Luckily, we're looking at a forged golf club. Forged golf clubs are softer and a little bit more malleable in terms of being able to bend them, so we'll be able to make the club fit him like Tony was talking about.
So
start with 200.
Yeah.
Since I've already got that one ready to go.
So right now what we're doing is that we're going to let you obviously try these two heads, but this is the Titleist T100. Okay. This is the T200. The T100 is not quite as forgiving, I guess, to just put it very black and white. The T200 is going to be a little more forgiving. Okay. I would say between the two, it was either between the Mizuno or the Callaway. I think the Callaway does perform a little bit better for you.
So one of the most common questions that we get about fitting is, how do I know which set of clubs to get or which head in particular should I be playing? So one of the things that we've developed over the years at Golf Plus is sort of a three-pronged approach to that. I always tell people to look for what looks good in their hand when they set it down, what looks good on the top line and all that, what feels good. Sometimes that's a little bit of feel in the hands, and then sometimes that's feel when we're actually hitting it. And then, of course, what fits into your budget. So when you look at the myriad of club choices, and this is just a sliver of what's available, we carry even more clubs at our other store, and of course each of these manufacturers has anywhere from 5 to sometimes 7 or 8 different models. So you extrapolate that, and there are at least 50, 60, maybe 70 sets of irons out there that you could easily be choosing from. So based on your handicap and the level that you play, the amount of practice time that you put in, how you strike the ball, all of those things, we could just pick a set for you and say, okay, this is based on all those parameters, this is what you need. But we prefer to let you have some choice in there and to think about, again, what looks good, what feels good, what fits in your budget. Then we narrow all the wall down based on those parameters, and then when we start our fitting process, we kind of know roughly where we're starting from. Now, we're always going to keep options open and try some other things if we need to, but it's just not practical to think that you could test 50 different heads. There's just not enough time, and also there's really no need.
Did you prefer a Golf Pride over a Lambkin, or you're kind of open to like more of a cord feel? You like something that's more tacky?
Yeah, more tacky.
More tacky. Okay, so this is a grip that's been around for a while. That's a Golf Pride Tour Wrap 2G. So I don't know if that's something that appeals to you at all, but that's a nice option to have. And that's the Align that has that rib down the back as well. Not quite as aggressive as that full cord.
Yeah.
So we've tested shafts with Elliot, and we've got that determined. We've checked his length and lie angle, and we've landed on a head that he's happy with. Turns out it's actually where he thought he wanted to be. Well, obviously we're going to check some other things that are similar and just make sure he's happy, and that's kind of what happened. So now Tony's working with him to make sure we get the right set pieces, because not everybody needs the same set of clubs in their bag, especially as far as he hits the ball. So we're going through all of that, and then they'll start working on the rest of his bag, woods and wedges and all, and just really getting him transformed. So the last thing they'll do, the very last thing, will be grip. They'll get into feel. That's just a texture thing. We also size grips and get you set for that, but the most important thing is that you like the look and the feel of that grip, because that is your connection with the golf club. But that's the basic idea of what we do here, and obviously we offer a lot of different kinds of fittings. There's different fees for that, and all of our pricing here is industry standard as well. So you're not going to pay more just because you get great service here at Golf Plus.